Hello, everyone. Welcome to another inspiring session of the Youth Engagement Forum. Today, we have Tiffani McCoy, who is the lead organizer at Real Change newspaper. And Real Change is a newspaper based in Seattle that advocates for equity and social justice to make change surrounding important issues facing our community. Thank you so much, Ms. McCoy, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me on, Maher.
So, Ms. McCoy, please tell us a little bit about yourself and about Real Change.
Yeah, Real Change, as you said, you said it really well, but we also, through that newspaper, offer a low barrier employment opportunity. And what that means is anyone can come into Real Change, do a really quick orientation, and leave with a job. We don't require a social security number, we don't require a birthday. You can use a different name to identify yourself if you want. We don't do any background checks or application process. Anyone can come in, do this orientation, and leave with a job. The vendors, as we call them, buy the paper for 60 cents and sell it for $2, and they keep all of those profits. So a low barrier employment opportunity, but I lead the advocacy department and work with our vendors to highlight their lived experience to change public policy. My name is Tiffani. I've been with Real Change for 3.5 years and have just worked in different campaigns locally and statewide and in other states since leaving graduate school.
Wow, that's amazing how Real Change is involved in a lot of community-based work as well, and how you're all making a huge impact in so many different areas.
It's a really great place to work and be.
So, can you please tell us about your role at Real Change? What opportunities do you have to engage with the Seattle community?
Yeah, so like I said a little bit before, what makes our advocacy different at Real Change, most of our population is either unhoused or previously unhoused or very low income. And it's working alongside them to highlight public policy issues, campaigns, things to change at the city, county, and state level. But we do mostly focus in Seattle. That's where the majority of our vendors are. That's where we're located. Recently, we did a campaign to boost up the Clean Hands Collective hand washing stations as a response to the city just not filling the need of hand washing stations for those who are unhoused during COVID, unhoused and housed, because with cafes and restaurants being closed, the ability for anyone to just go and do these things is markedly lower. So yeah, we are getting ready for a couple of new pieces of legislation coming up in the next year. But we work with our vendors because they're the ones that have that experience that I do not. So sharing their stories and getting them involved in the political process.
It's great that, as I said before, that you're really involved in the community through Real Change, and how a lot of it is engaging with the community and advocating for what the community needs.
Yeah, it's fun, and every day is new, so that keeps things interesting too.
So, Ms. McCoy, during the COVID-19 pandemic, what community outreach initiatives has Real Change been involved in? And what are the challenges that you have faced in this journey, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so I can speak as the org, like I said, we are first and foremost an employment opportunity, but during the governor's first stay at home order, we had to make the really hard decision to not sell the paper so we could be part of flattening the curve. And that has a direct material impact on our vendors' ability to pay rent and their utilities and their cell phone, et cetera. So we tried to fill that gap. We didn't before COVID do a lot of, it's called direct service, but we shifted because of the need to, providing like grocery bags and hygiene products and socks and underwear to our vendors. And also during that time, we handed out gift cards to all of our vendors to kind of compensate for that financial loss. And then as far as in the community of Seattle, like I kind of indicated before, we saw the city not propping up as many hand washing stations as were needed. And we knew that hand washing was one of the strongest ways to not at that time spread COVID, because at that time the thought was it's through surface to surface contact. So, you know, we at Real Change reached out to community members and just organically got connected with professors at UW and you and your mom, and created these hand washing stations to place around a couple of locations in Seattle and Renton. And yeah, as I indicated earlier, we just won funding through the Seattle City Council budget process, $100,000 to prop up close to 63 sinks over the next year. So looking forward to getting going on that right away. And also just being a voice for such things as municipal broadband. And the technology gap is just, it's exacerbated right now by folks who aren't able to go to the libraries, which are closed, or a cafe or restaurant to check their email. And that's really difficult for a population that doesn't have housing or doesn't have the means, especially during an economic downturn, to pay for those necessary communication methods to stay in touch with caseworkers, to check on their housing list, to see if they qualified to get into a shelter. So yeah, just kind of being nimble and very flexible and week to week adapting to what the needs of the community that we serve are.
It's great that Real Change acts as a voice for populations that are underserved and that historically don't have as much of a say. And I think that's great that Real Change provides a way for them to have their voices heard and to have a say at different levels of the community.
Yeah, no, it's something that keeps me with Real Change because of that dedication, as you just so eloquently said.
Yes, it's very inspiring to hear about the work that Real Change is doing. So, how can young people be involved with Real Change and advocate for issues in their community?
Yeah, so being involved with Real Change, I mean, one of the reasons that, you know, Real Change is able to stay open and keep going after 26 years now is the readership. You know, if our vendors were out there selling the paper and didn't have folks buying it and creating those relationships, we wouldn't be able to keep doing the work that we do. So young people becoming readers and interested in Real Change and the vendors, just also from like a neighborly standpoint, is really important. Just getting also versed in what causes poverty and what leads to being unhoused. I know that especially on the east side, you know, there's been a lot of struggles in Bellevue and Redmond and others to even just prop up one shelter. So, you know, like I said, Real Change, we focus mostly on the city of Seattle. We know there's tremendous need in all of the surrounding areas of King County. I mean, of course, even nationally, but let's keep it very local. So becoming a voice for those who are marginalized and disenfranchised, and showing up to your city council, I guess virtually now, to advocate for these shelters, because often young people and children are used by those who are opposed to shelters as like a scare tactic for not opening them in certain neighborhoods. So just getting involved in being that voice and finding your own power through pushing public policy changes. Yeah, and always feel free to reach out to me at Real Change for ideas or brainstorming or help with campaigns. I mean, we all have to work together wherever we are to make change.
Yes, at Youth Aware, we really want to highlight that everyone can make a difference, no matter how young they are. And especially for youth, it's very important for youth to know that they can have a say in so many different areas and they can make a huge impact on things that they're passionate about.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, Miss McCoy, is there anything, what message would you like to give to the community and to young people?
I think I'll just go off of what you were saying just prior to asking me that question. Just because you don't have the right yet to vote or are about to, doesn't mean that you don't have a voice and don't have power and can't make change. Electoral politics is one strategy to change. If you look back at social movements over the span of this country's history or even internationally, the way big change is affected is through social movements and everyone getting involved and demanding that their policymakers go further than they initially want to. So never let anyone tell young people that they don't have power, or they need to wait to vote, or you need to wait their turn. Like that's, if I may say, crap. You have power and you should use it, and you should organize together, especially as we are looking down the barrel of climate catastrophe and an economic downturn and student debt that's rising and out of control and police brutality. I mean, there's countless examples of things that need to fundamentally change in our society, and youth have a critical role to play in that. So just get out there, get organized, work together, and affect change.
Thank you so much for this inspiring message for youth. And I'm sure that our readers at Youth Aware would love to hear from you and just about real change and really how young people can be involved and have a say. And like you said, this McCoy, even if they don't have the right to vote right now, they can still make change by influencing policies and their leaders' decisions.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Miss McCoy, for joining us today and giving such an inspiring message for youth and just talking about real change and its amazing community initiatives and how, again, youth can engage with their local communities and make change.
Thank you so much for the role you play in your community, Mayor, and for having me on your show.
Thank you so much.